Sunday Spotlight is brought to you by Bay Area Children's Theater.
Hi, everyone. It's me, Khalia Davis, the Artistic Director of Bay Area Children's Theater, and we are back with another episode of Sunday Spotlight. Sunday Spotlight is a show that shines a spotlight on really awesome people who make art that's having a positive impact in our industry and our world. And today, I'm super excited to get a little bit silly with some of my favorite clowns, Marisol, Rosa Shapiro, and Andrew P. Quick. Here are 3 things you need to know about my friends Marisol and Andrew.
Andrew works for the Medical Clown Project, and Marisol is a volunteer performer and teacher with Clowns Without Borders. Andrew and his juggling partner, Mr. Mustache, bring joy to families all over California with their company Circus of Smiles. Marisol's love of sea creatures and the Postal Service has led her to creating fun mail art she sends to friends and family all over the world.
Hi, friends! Say hello to our viewers.
Everybody.
Hello, everybody. It's good to see you.
We are going to just jump right in with my first question. And I ask this question of every single guest I have. When you were a kid, who did you see or what did you see that inspired you to pursue this career in the arts?
So I grew up in New York City, and I was very fortunate to get to see a lot of theater and dance and music and performance. And so I would say when I was very small, I was like 2 or 3 years old, my mom took me to see a show at Ta-Da Youth Theater. And Ta-Da has young people from age like, I think 7 to 18 performing on stage for other young people. And so I got to see not only my first performance, my first musical live on stage, but I also got to see other young people doing this thing that I thought was so incredible and so amazing. So I think that was my first inspiration. And I just got to see a lot of amazing art as a young person. And I had a great music and theater teacher in my school named Barbara Ames, who I always shout out because she was very fantastic. So yeah.
Well, speaking of New York, I did not grow up there. I grew up in the Central Valley of California. Did not see a lot of live entertainment that I can remember as a kid. However, I do remember when I was in New York City as a kid, my dad and stepmom took me to see the musical Cats. Yeah. And meow, meow. And I remember as a kid being like, why are we going to see a musical about cats? That's so silly. And then I saw the musical and was blown away by the production value and by all these people really committed to pretending to be a cat. That inspired me. Bless you.
I'm allergic to cats. Sorry.
Oh, okay. Me too, actually, which is funny.
Well.
Oh, well, I'm not allergic to art, so I stayed away from cats, but then I got into art instead. Yeah, that was one of my first experiences.
That's great. I'm so glad that you were able to shout out educators. I think sometimes we forget that actually teachers can be huge influences on why we might decide to pursue a certain type of career, especially in the arts. And Andrew, it's true. There is literally a musical called Cats. And can you share maybe a moment of surprise or awe that you remember from seeing that show? Because there were humans acting like cats.
There were humans acting like cats. I think that was the surprise. And I remember that also the cats would like go into the audience and like kind of like crawl down the aisles and like crawl into the audience. And there's a great story about a friend of mine who was at the musical, not when I was there, a different story, watching Cats, and all of a sudden someone creeped up beside her and she got scared and punched them in the face, and it was one of the Cats actors. So be careful if you go into the audience.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Well, folks just witnessed something really fun, which in my opinion is like a cute moment that a lot of clowns do, which is have a response and that to an action that just happened. So Marisol sneezed, Andrew responded, and then there was this great moment of like, wait, we all are allergic to cats. And I'm so excited about the fact that we get to celebrate clowning in this particular episode. But there are some common misconceptions about clowns based on how they're depicted in media today or in the past. So what are some common misconceptions and how are you doing the work to change that?
I have heard people, when they talk about politics, they sometimes will say, oh, all those people are clowns, as though it is a term to reduce who they are. And I think that if we actually had clowns in leadership, we would have more vulnerable, authentic leadership. So I think one way in which people think is that clowns are fools or idiots. And sometimes they are. I also think that that's a misconception because clowns are also very vulnerable and authentic to what's happening in the moment.
Yeah, I love that, Andrew. I agree. And similarly, people talk about politics sometimes or about things that are going wrong in the world as being a circus. And that one gets me too, because all the circus artists I know, professional circus artists, including clowns and acrobats, jugglers and contortionists and all these incredible circus artists, not only are they incredibly skilled and well-trained, but also what they do is like death-defying all the time. So they need to be extremely well-organized, extremely communicative, extremely collaborative in order to not only, wow us with spectacle, but also like stay, in one piece, stay alive and healthy, and support each other to be, to do their job beautifully. So I think along those same lines, Andrew. And I guess the other thing, that I'm sure you hear all the time, Andrew, and then I hear all the time is people think that clowns are scary. And I think I understand some of the reasons why people think that, right? The makeup, that's sort of what we think of as like the classic American circus clown makeup, and even sometimes European circus clown makeup, is very exaggerated. And my understanding, and Andrew, you should chime in if you know a different story about this, but my understanding is that the clown makeup, the classic clown makeup that we think of for circus clowns, is created to exaggerate the clown's features so that they can be seen, so that their face can be seen from very far away, right? Because clowns used to play in these huge tents with hundreds or sometimes thousands of people. And so to be able to be seen from very far away, right, their makeup would enhance their face. And then when we started to have more intimate spaces where clowns are showing up, like smaller circuses or a theater stage or a birthday party, right? When you have somebody with that extreme makeup that's meant to be seen from far away and you see them really close up, that can be a little bit like jarring, right? So that's one of my understandings. And then also I think that the kind of joy that a clown can actually bring and encourage and nurture and facilitate is when it's done well, it's very truthful. And I think that people, and especially children, are very sensitive to when someone is being like fake happy or fake funny, right? And it's kind of scary. And so I think sometimes some clowns who may not be that artful, like pretend to be happy instead of actually cultivating joy in themselves and in their audience. And that can be a little off-putting too. So, but I think that really good clowns are like skilled and beautiful and cute and weird and strange, but usually not scary in my experience.
I completely agree. Some of my favorite people are part of circuses, carnivals, clown groups like yourselves. And so I'm just really glad that we get to shine a light on actually what this artistry can do for kids and families. Speaking of kids, there have probably been so many beautiful, fun, joyous interactions with your audiences, kids and grownups alike. When did you realize that actually what you were bringing out onto the stage was doing something really meaningful for your audience?
I will just say, I think that's a cool question because both Andrew and I perform as clowns in a variety of spaces. And some of those spaces, something that we share is that some of those spaces in which we perform are spaces in which the clowning is like therapeutic in some way.
Yeah, I was thinking that too. One of the groups I work with is the Medical Clown Project, and we're a group of clowns that goes into hospitals and assisted living facilities, and we play with people. We bring joy. We transform the space of a hospital from a place of physical healing maybe into a playful, imaginative space of spiritual and emotional healing as well. And so I think that's one way. A story. When, I don't know exactly, Khalia. I don't know exactly when the moment was like, this actually is doing something. I do remember one time, Mr. Mustache, my juggling partner, and I, we tour in the summer, and we were at a show, and all of our shows are free for folks, so anyone can come and see them. That's sort of one of the things we like to do, is make it available to all folks. And our family was there, and the kids were there. And we finished our show, and the kids were having a great time, and the mom comes up to us with tears in her eyes. I don't know her name. I don't know her story. She has tears in her eyes, and I can't tell if she was laughing or if she was crying. I wasn't sure. And what she said to me was, I brought my kids here because I thought they needed some release, but I didn't realize that I really needed to laugh. And so I think it's moments like that where you as a clown are just doing what you're trained to do. You're just bringing the joy. You're being interested instead of trying to be interesting. And then all of a sudden there's something happens for somebody. And it's not because you're manipulating them to have that experience. Rather, they are welcome and free to feel deeply as their heart and their energy is opened by this type of performance that actually invites people to be more engaged and authentic with themselves as well.
I love both of those answers. And I agree. I think some of the best moments and interactions that I've had as a performer, especially for children, is when the grown-ups are the ones who come up and say, I didn't expect that I would actually enjoy this too. I didn't know that I would learn something that I didn't know before from watching this children's show. And I think that that speaks to the power of performance and artistry, especially the kind that is made really for kids and their families. So,
I love it when parents come up to and they're like, "You're actually funny."
Actually.
Yeah, you're right. I am actually funny. You're right. Not just for one age.
That's so, yeah.
Yeah, I can share a story too, Khalia. So I clown sometimes with Clowns Without Borders. Clowns Without Borders shows up in places where we're invited, usually spaces in the world where there's been some kind of collective trauma, something really difficult has happened. Like it might be man-made, like a war, or a natural disaster, right? Like an earthquake or a hurricane. And in war scenarios, the clowns show up in refugee camps often, or places where people have been displaced too. They're away from their homes. And one of the things that can be very exciting about clowns in some contexts is that clowns often either don't know the rules or see the rules as a game to play with. And so in a lot of these spaces where children and families have experienced these really challenging times, there are a lot of rules, right? In refugee camps, in detention centers, and in places where, children don't get to play a lot, and they have to follow a lot of rules. It may be that they're dealing with, border guards or other authorities or police or government authorities who are, have these strict rules. Anyway, so the clowns have a certain charm and ability to come into those spaces naive of the rules or curious to play around the rules and really set the people free, often both the children and the adults, and also even sometimes the people who are in positions of authority, to play and to sort of topple or level temporarily some of the hierarchies and the authority and the rules. So I was performing, actually I was teaching some clowning skills with some young people who were in a detention center / shelter in San Antonio, Texas. There were young people there who were unaccompanied minors who had crossed the southern border. These were children, young people, teenagers, anywhere from 7 or 8 years old through 17 or 18 years old. And so there were young people who crossed the southern border. And there also were children who, for a variety of reasons, had been separated from their families locally in Texas. And, this was a place where there were a lot of rules, and the rules were, made to keep the children safe and keep the adults safe. But they're pretty restrictive. And so we were doing this workshop, and we were exploring like balance and connection games with these with dowels, with like these long round pieces of wood, right? And so we'd have like two people playing together, and they'd have to try and like keep the dowel from falling by applying pressure to the dowel and making eye contact. And we're doing games like this about like connection and play. And afterwards, we were doing a little debrief, and we were talking, and the one of the girls that we were working with took two dowels and was kind of like hitting them on the floor like they were drumsticks, and one of them broke. And it was like this moment, this suspension, because the child was worried about having like broken something that belonged to the clowns, and the adults who were working there were, I think, worried and maybe like embarrassed because the child had broken something that belonged to us. And our immediate response as clowns was like, woohoo, it's a party, break all the dowels. And we like broke all the dowels. And it was speaking to what Andrew said about release, right? It was such a release to be able to break it wasn't even a rule. It was sort of like an unspoken rule, right? About like being respectful of the materials. And we didn't need to be respectful of the materials. They were just wooden sticks. Who cares? So we broke all the dowels, and we like made a game and a party out of it. And it really, even just for a few moments, shifted the power dynamic and the sense of like restriction for these children who didn't get to play a lot or break a lot of rules or even explore or push the rules, right, in this restrictive environment. So that for me is like the story that I always think about and remember about the value of not only clown performance, but like clown mentality, right? And the ability to think, to turn a thing on its head and think about it differently.
Yes. All of that. Now I feel like all of us just want to go and like find some dowels and break them. It feels so good. Oh, sharing space with the two of you brings me so much joy. And you weren't even in your clown personas, but I had the best time getting to know both of you in this way. And I hope our audience did too. But hold up. We are not done yet. Hey kids, it's time for your creative craft. And this week we are going to actually share this creative craft with my buddies over here. So Andrew, Marisol, want to help me out?
Oh yeah.
Let's do it.
Welcome back, everyone. I am Mr. Quick, and I'm here to help you with your creative craft. The most important thing that clowns learn, one of the first things that clowns learn, is how to make a grand...
Is it time?
No, Princess Mildred, we are waiting until after, all right?
After what?
Remember, after I say entrance.
Entrance.
Yes.
Okay. Sorry. Try again.
I'm going to try again. Okay. I'm sorry about her, everyone. Let's try this again. Welcome back. Your creative craft this morning, this afternoon, this evening, whenever you might be watching, is to make a grand...
Did I do it?
After the word entrance. After. Say it with me.
After.
Entrance.
Okay.
Okay. And one more time. Like I was saying, it's very important for clowns to know how to come on the stage. And so, we are going to practice how to make a grand entrance. Yes, very nice, Princess Mildred. That was a very good entrance. So now we're going to have all of you participate as well. So everybody, you're going to go ahead and leave your room. Leave the room. Leave the room. Yep. And now I want you to make your fastest entrance. Go! Very good. I see. That was very quick. All right. Now this time, I want everyone to leave the room. And this time, I want you to make your slowest entrance. That's real slow. All right, shake it out. Now, this time we're going to do our silliest entrance. Everybody leave the screens. And now, welcome to the stage, the silliest clowns. Yeah, they are funny. They're very good.
Oh.
Well, I hate to admit it, Princess Mildred, but I think it's time for us to say adieu.
Oh.
I know. Shall we do adieu?
Yes, sir.
Bye, everybody. Remember, today, when you get called down for dinner or you have to go into the living room or the dining room, make sure to make your silliest entrance.
Yay! Thank you, Mr. Quick. Thank you, Princess Mildred, for stopping by and giving our kids their creative craft. Now, everybody at home, it's time for you to tap into your inner clown. Go and get creative. Until next time, keep shining. Bye.
Bye.